Guess what was happening while the Lakers got even? Coming out of All-Star break, just before the pandemic hit, the Clippers took off. They were on a roll. They won 6 straight games. And Doc was talking about, we're finally clicking. We finally figured it out.
Guess what was happening before the pandemic hit? The Lakers were clicking. They had won the last 11 out of 12 games, including beating your Clippers. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Sixers, the Celtics, the Nuggets on the road. Beat the Pelicans twice. So the Lakers were clicking too, Skip. Do not forget that. They were clicking before the pandemic. Then they lost to the Nets right before the season stopped. And then the season starts, and the Lakers looked a little lost when the bubble started again. Lost 5 out of those 8 games. But guess what? Right when the playoffs hit, they started clicking again. But your Clippers, they couldn't do anything.
And then all of a sudden, when I told you they needed reps, they needed the season to finish, and you needed rest, you got rest, we didn't get reps. So Doc was, tell me how it was broken at that point. It was fixed. It was great.
Yeah.
The Clippers couldn't get reps? Whose fault is that? I mean, I know they had injuries, but Kawhi Leonard chose to sit out 15 games to load manage. I mean, that's your star player. He's deciding to sit and not play. Whose fault is that you guys didn't get reps? Maybe he should have played those games. Maybe he should stop acting like a diva and play. So whose fault is it that the Clippers didn't get reps? And as far as rest, everybody got rest. Everybody rested from March to August when the season restarted. So why are you complaining that the Lakers got rest? Everybody got rest. If anything, LeBron got older during the time that the NBA stopped.
But don't come to me with it's broken and it'll never work. They were the favorite, the betting favorite, the odds makers' favorite going into the postseason. In the bubble, the Clippers were favored, not the Lakers, the Clippers. And in every game against Denver, they were bigger favorites than the Lakers were going to be against Denver. So all along, the odds makers, those who break these games down, they were saying Clippers are better. Clippers are better than the Lakers. They showed you that every game. And
the odds makers. This guy starts talking about the odds makers again. Who cares what the odds makers thought? It doesn't matter. The Lakers came out and they won. They beat who they had to beat in the bubble. Clippers couldn't even get past the Nuggets. They couldn't even get the chance to play against the Lakers when everybody expected them to play the Lakers. The odds makers thought it was going to be Lakers, Clippers in the conference finals. I thought that. Everybody did. But it didn't happen because your Clippers choked to the Nuggets. So who cares what the odds makers thought? The odds makers are right now saying that the Lakers are favorites to win in 2021. So if they lose, we're going to be like, yeah, but the odds makers thought that the Lakers were going to win. So they were the better team. Everybody knew it. They were the better team. Who cares what the odds makers thought? It's just a prediction. I predicted the Clippers would make it to the conference finals. They didn't.
how close they were.
They were close.
It's hard to get up 3-1 on the Denver Nuggets because they're really talented.
It's hard to get up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets. Wait, Utah went up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets? They blew the lead. Clippers went up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets. They blew the lead. Lakers went up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets. But guess what? They didn't blow the lead. So how's it hard going up 3-1 against the Nuggets? Obviously, every single team they played went up 3-1 against them.
But they couldn't close it because they weren't together enough. They hadn't had enough reps together. Their whole rotation had only been together for 11 games through the year, where they had everybody healthy. So they weren't ready for this. And
again, Skip, stop making excuses. Kawhi Leonard chose to sit out 15 games. He could have played those 15 games. Even if Paul George was injured or whoever else was injured, he's their star player. He should have played those 15 games because he was healthy. He chose to load manage and act like he was hurt or can't play in back-to-backs. Well, that's his fault. If he played, they would have maybe got some of those reps. At least they would have had their star player on the court for 15 more games. And he decided to sit out, so that's all on Clippers. That's all on Kawhi. Blame him.
odds makers kept telling you, kept slapping you in the face with the Clippers are more talented.
There he goes again with the odds makers. Who cares about the odds makers? Dude, the odds makers could think that the freaking Wizards are making it to the playoffs this year. The Hawks are making it to the playoffs this year. That's probably what they think, but who cares? They could be wrong too. The oddsmakers had the Bucks making it to the finals. So what happened to that? They lost in the second round to the Heat. So what are you trying to prove with the oddsmakers? I just don't get it. Why are you still arguing about the oddsmakers saying that the Clippers were better? Okay, great. They were better. They might have been the better team, or they might have been the favorites. But they didn't win it. They couldn't even get to the third round.
Here's the conclusion to this expose that you were just gloating over. The conclusion says the Clippers had as much, if not more talent than any other team in the NBA last season. But the ingredients never quite mixed right. I'll buy that.
Good. You're finally realizing that it doesn't matter what it says on paper. It matters what happens on the court. Because the odds makers could predict that the Clippers would make it to the finals. The odds makers could say, or people could predict and say, Clippers have the better roster. They were more talented. But if it doesn't work on the court, then you're not winning anything. It worked for the Lakers, Skip. It worked for the Lakers, and they won the title. So obviously it doesn't matter what the odds makers say. It doesn't matter what people thought about the Clippers being more talented than the Lakers. At the end of the day, Lakers are the ones with the ring.
5. I got clips on opening night. That's all.
You got clips on opening night? Great. Maybe you guys could hang another opening night banner.
What did your Michael Green say?
Who cares?
No, don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. Don't do that.
We did not want him. We did not try to keep him.
Hold on.
Oh, wait. All of a sudden, you don't care about Michael Green leaving? You don't care about Harold leaving? You guys didn't want him? Well, you think the Lakers wanted Rondo? They knew they were going to lose Rondo. Howard leaves. They trade Danny Green, and you're saying that, oh, Lakers wanted him so badly, but they lost them. But the Lakers got Dennis Schroeder, 6th Man of the Year candidate. They got Montrezl Harrell from you guys, who won the 6th Man of the Year award. They got Marc Gasol to replace Howard. They got Wesley Matthews to replace Danny Green. So it's not like the Lakers really badly wanted those guys. Sure, they would like to have them back. They wanted to have Howard back too. They gave him a contract, but he decided to go to Philly. I don't know what happened with that, but it's not like we're begging for them to stay. We replaced them. We got better. So all you're doing right now is being salty that Harold left your team. JaMychal Green leaves your team and says that he went to the Nuggets because they showed more heart than the Clippers. Stop being salty, That's just being a salty hater.